Hello and welcome once again to Dublin Weekend from Cablelink. Well, coming up in the programme this week, environmental partnership in the inner city, Howth's proud lifeboat tradition, more Christmas cooking with Rory, and Zosimus is back on the streets of Dublin. But we start this week in the middle of Dublin City because the air quality has been the focus of many people's concerns for many years, and this week it came back into question once again. There are more and more cars on the streets of Dublin every day, and with that more exhaust fumes. Councillor David Healy of the Green Party has suggested that the levels of pollution in the capital are at a dangerous level.
What I did was I cycled around the city carrying a portable monitor, which enabled me to assess the exposure of cyclists to particulate air pollution, which are the small particles, mostly coming from diesel engines, but some of them also from petrol and some from reactions in the air. And what that basically showed was that the exposure of a cyclist to particulate pollution in Dublin is essentially the same as a cyclist in London. So it also showed that the cyclist is receiving a higher level of pollutants than the background levels measured by the static monitoring system run by the corporation, DPA.
Dublin Corporation Air Quality Control Unit continuously monitors the levels of pollution in the city. However, although they have found that the levels sometimes are higher than the other European countries of the same population, they feel that Councillor Healy's claims are alarmist.
He monitored PM10s, which is a particular pollutant, with a mobile monitor strapped to his bicycle, and he cycled around Dublin City. Now, we here in Dublin Corporation also monitor for PM10s from 5 sites throughout the city, and we have found that levels are acceptable and within the US Environmental Protection Agency limits. So our information would directly contradict what Councillor Healy found. And I suppose the only difference between both of us are that we used reference methods. We don't use monitors strapped to bicycles. What we used are outlined in the annex to directives, which show you exactly how to monitor for the pollutant. So we would be very confident in the accuracy of our levels, and we wouldn't see that PM10s would be an indicator of an overall air quality in Dublin. The statement he makes is that overall air quality is very poor. We would think, in fact, air quality in Dublin is good.
At a recent seminar attended by the Minister for the Environment, Noel Dempsey, concern was raised about the increasing air pollution caused by traffic in the city. The fact that there is no medical input into the Dublin Transportation Initiative was also raised, and no medical representatives on the Environmental Protection Agency.
Within the atmospheric pollution unit, we take a number of measures. We can all remember the smog of the 80s. Well, at the moment, we ensure that smoky coals or high sulphur coals aren't sold in Dublin City. We don't have the lead problems we had in the past. Over 70% now of motorists are using unleaded petrols, and there's catalytic converters attached to cars now, all new cars. We also report on all planning applications which may have some significance for air quality, and we're involved in an integrated approach in the corporation to draft an air quality management plan, which is almost in its final phase, and will go for public consultation. That is a very far-reaching plan which shows all of the problems that were there in the past, what measures we've taken to control them, and the measures we intend to take in the future.
The Dutch have applied the mortality risk to the life expectancy of the population as a whole, and calculated that on average in Holland people lose a year of their life because of air pollution. Now obviously it hits certain people much more specifically than others, people who've got bad hearts, heart condition and so on, people with asthma. And they're the people we should be focusing our air pollution policy on, to say, right, who are the most vulnerable people, and deal with that. The solution is not to allow large numbers of polluting vehicles into the centre of town, and that means that it cannot be seen as acceptable to have private cars coming into the city centre on a normal basis, that it as a normal part of our traffic, and that the buses must be changed to less polluting types of buses, and that the truck freight should be moved to rail to prevent the trucks going through the city and through the rest of the areas which are polluted by the fumes, the diesel fumes.
We all know how unpredictable the sea can be and how dangerous situations can arise for even the most experienced of sailors. However, there is help at hand through the courageous efforts of Ireland's lifeboat men. The Royal National Lifeboat Institution has provided the lifeboat service for England and Ireland since 1824, and since its foundation more than 123,000 people have been rescued. The city of Dublin is the lifeboat stationed off Howth, where George Duffy is the mechanic on the vessel and the coxswain is his brother Robert.
You know, you never know what you're going to come up against. You end up in predicaments where you think you're not going to end up in, and you end up in them. I mean, the last bad one we had, we left here and we ended up working off a quay wall, not off the deck of the boat at all, which was pretty hairy.